Welcome to Headline, the channel where we dive deep into current affairs and complex topics, breaking them down so you can understand them in a simple, engaging way. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a topic that's, it's sparking a lot of conversation and maybe a fair bit of confusion, too. Generation Z in the workplace.
Yeah, you hear a lot, right?
You really do. The stereotypes, are they too demanding? Maybe too focused on work-life balance, lacking that traditional loyalty. But what's really going on with the newest generation entering our workforce? Are they truly just, job seekers over job creators, or are we maybe missing a crucial part of their story?
I think we might be.
We're going to pull back the curtain on some surprising realities today, explore their unique aspirations, and really try to uncover what this generation brings to the table. Maybe challenge some of those assumptions.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how many of these perceived problems, maybe the demands associated with Gen Z, they're actually huge opportunities for organizations. Opportunities to evolve, to innovate, really.
To build a better workplace.
Exactly. A more resilient, more attractive workplace for everyone. So yeah, we'll dig into the data, try to connect the dots from, different sources and help you understand why this generation isn't just adapting to work. They're actively redefining it.
Okay, let's unpack this. And there's a surprising contradiction right away, isn't there? India. We know it's a global leader in the startup scene.
Oh, absolutely. Massive growth.
Over 125,000 startups, something like 110 unicorns, these billion-dollar private companies. Right. So you'd think, right? With this vibrant environment, the youth, especially Gen Z, would be lining up to join or start the next big thing.
That's the logical assumption.
But the data from this IQO Global Quest Report 2024 for Indian Gen Z, it tells a really different story.
It really does. And this is where it gets nuanced. It's a big report, surveyed, 6,700 Gen Z respondents across 7 countries.
Okay.
And it reveals that only 9%, just 9% of Indian Gen Z are primarily interested in entrepreneurship.
What, only 9%? That's low.
It's surprisingly low. And in stark contrast, you have 19%, nearly double aiming for leadership roles, but within established large organizations.
So corporate ladders, stability.
Seems like it. And what's really striking, India leads globally with this Quest index. They call it QI. It's 9.1.
9.1. What does that mean compared to others?
Well, the global average is often around, say, 7.5, so 9.1 is really high. It points to this incredibly strong ambition, a drive for achievement in Indian Gen Z.
But directed towards corporations.
But yeah, the data suggests that ambition is mostly channeled towards corporate stability, structure, that kind of thing, at least initially.
So what does this all mean for us trying to understand this? It sounds like, okay, despite the huge startup buzz, the preference, at least for Indian Gen Z, is security, big corporations, clear paths.
That's what the headline suggests.
But is that the whole story? Because, I've definitely seen other research, other conversations talking about a really strong entrepreneurial spirit in Gen Z, globally maybe, a desire for innovation. How do these fit together?
That's such a crucial point, and it highlights maybe global versus local differences, or maybe even just how we define entrepreneurial.
Right.
So while the IQO report, it shows this preference for stable roles in big companies for Indian Gen Z specifically, other sources, looking maybe more broadly, they absolutely suggest a strong drive.
Like what?
Well, there was an opinion-based study found nearly almost 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds saying they want to start their own business someday.
Okay, that sounds more like it.
Yeah, this generation is often seen as, inherently active. They're contributors, creators, change makers. They blend creativity, innovation, ambition.
So it's not necessarily a flat contradiction then?
Maybe not. It could suggest a hybrid approach is more likely. Maybe they juggle a salary job and a side hustle. Or they become entrepreneurs, driving innovation from inside a larger company.
Okay. Like getting the best of both worlds.
Exactly. So the desire for those entrepreneurial elements, for making an impact, it's definitely there. Even if the first step, the path they choose initially, might look more like a stable corporate job.
Okay. This is where it gets, really interesting and often misunderstood, I think.
Yeah.
This generation, they sometimes get labeled difficult or hard to work with.
You hear that a lot.
Some reports say nearly 3 in 4 managers feel this way.
Yeah.
But if we connect this back to what we were just saying, maybe many of their so-called problems are actually just deeply held preferences,
Mhm.
values that challenge the old ways,
Precisely.
like work-life balance. What does that really mean for them? Why is it such a non-negotiable?
It's fundamental. It's a complete redefinition, really. Gen Z, they're not interested in, like, performative presenteeism, showing up just to show up.
Right, looking busy.
Yeah. They want to close their laptops at 5 p.m. or whenever the actual work is done and not feel guilty about it. Their focus is squarely on output, results, not the hours you sit in a chair.
And the data backs this up.
Oh, strongly. Only 49% of Gen Zers say work is central to their identity. Compare that to millennials, 62%.
Wow, that's a significant drop.
It's huge. And it's not about hating work. It's about needing clear boundaries, separation, to avoid the burnout they thought happened to older generations.
Makes sense.
And, to actually have job satisfaction, personal well-being. So for companies, this isn't just like offering a yoga class. It's a fundamental shift. It's urging them to embrace mental well-being as like a core part of sustainable productivity.
And innovation too, presumably.
Absolutely. Research backs this up constantly. A mentally resilient workforce, they're more engaged, more adaptable, more creative. So it turns this Gen Z demand into a real strategic advantage for everyone.
And it sounds like this focus on balance isn't just about avoiding burnout. It's deeply tied to another major challenge for this generation, right? Mental health.
It's critical, yeah. And the stats are quite stark.
What does the data show?
Over half. 55% of Gen Zers report having been diagnosed or treated for a mental health condition. That's a much higher rate than older generations.
55%. Why so high, do we think?
Well, experts point to a lot of factors. Things like mass shootings being part of their reality growing up, the huge impact of the pandemic, constant social media exposure, this curated, often overwhelming online world. It takes a toll.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it directly impacts their ability to work effectively, their focus, their energy levels. So companies that genuinely address this, not just lip service, but robust wellness programs, flexible policies, supportive environments.
They're not just being nice.
Exactly. They're making a smart, strategic investment in the long-term health and productivity of their entire workforce, not just Gen Z.
Okay, beyond well-being. Another thing you hear debated is Gen Z's career ambition. Sometimes it's framed as, well, impatience.
Right, the want it now stereotype.
Yeah. How does the data clarify that, or maybe complicate it?
Well, it clarifies it quite a bit. They are incredibly ambitious, yes, but their timeline for advancement, it's definitely compressed.
How compressed?
70%.
70.
70% expect a promotion within 18 months.
18 months. Wow.
Yeah, and they're more than twice as likely as Gen X to say they want to be CEO someday.
Okay, so big goals, fast track.
Pretty much. While older generations often linked promotions to, merit earned over many years, long experience, Gen Z often expects advancement based more on perceived contribution right now, skills they've picked up quickly, even just time in the role.
So how should employers handle that? Is it a problem?
Not necessarily a problem. It means you have an eager, driven workforce, right? The key is managing expectations. Laying out really clear, transparent paths for progression, for skill development, giving frequent feedback.
Not just the annual review.
Definitely not. Maybe even offering like micro promotions or advancements based on specific projects, something to satisfy that desire for rapid growth and recognition.
And let's touch on something maybe less idealistic but really practical for them. Money. It sometimes gets framed a bit negatively, but they really care about compensation, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Money is a top priority for 70% of Gen Zers. And get this, 65% are more likely to apply for jobs that actually show the salary range up front. Salary transparency.
That's a big deal for them.
It is. And look, it isn't just greed. It's really financial pragmatism. It's born from the economic reality they're facing.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. They're entering the workforce often with the lowest inflation-adjusted starting salaries in decades, plus higher inflation now, crazy housing costs, student loan debt.
Right. It's a tough landscape.
It really is.
Yeah.
So for them, a competitive, fair, transparent salary isn't some nice-to-have bonus. It's a necessity for basic stability, for planning a future. It really challenges that old pay-your-dues mentality.
Except for companies.
It's a call to be transparent, to truly value the output and contribution of young talent right from the start. Maybe think about more dynamic, performance-based pay earlier on, not just relying on years of tenure.
It sounds like Gen Z isn't just focused on the what of work, the tasks, but also the where and the why. They have this reputation, don't they, for not putting up with corporate BS.
Yeah, the authenticity filter is strong with this generation.
What does that mean in practice for
Okay.
companies trying to attract them?
It means authenticity is absolutely key. They have a really low tolerance for companies that don't walk the talk. Mission statements that don't match reality, promises that aren't kept.
They see right through it.
They do. They grew up online with endless information. They can spot performative stuff a mile off. And look, 87% say they'd leave their current job for a company whose values align better with their own.
87%. That's huge leverage. What values are we talking about?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion are massive. 83% say it's important. Sustainability, too. 55% actively research a company's environmental impact before applying.
Wow. So they're doing their homework.
IR, and then the things we've talked about, salary transparency, flexibility. 70% of undergrads want flexible hours. These are non-negotiables. So for employers, it means you have to live your values. Embed them in how you operate, in your culture, not just put them on a poster or in the annual report.
It's about genuine action, not just words.
Exactly. Action over rhetoric.
Okay, being digital natives,
Yeah.
the Zoomers, right?
Yeah.
Technology must play a massive role, way beyond just using email and Word.
Oh, absolutely. They're inherently tech proficient. They expect tech to be seamless, an enabler for efficiency, productivity, collaboration. For them, tech isn't just a tool you pick up. It's the environment they swim in.
So they expect cutting-edge workplaces.
Pretty much. Workplaces that are at the forefront. Investing in the latest tools, integrating things like generative AI, not as a gimmick, but as a real way to boost what humans can do. Speed things up, enhance creativity.
And they'll call out bad tech.
Oh, yeah. They're quick to adopt new things, but just as quick to critique systems that are clinky, outdated, slow. And this tech expectation extends to perks, too.
How so?
Well, for a generation living online, maybe a digital financial wellness app or telehealth services, those might be way more impactful and accessible than, say, an old school seminar in the office break room.
Right, meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
So even if the data we talked about earlier shows many Indian Gen Z leaning towards big corporations for stability,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like they're still looking for those agile, impact-driven qualities you often associate with startups.
Precisely. It's like they want the best of both worlds.
Stability and dynamism.
Yeah. They want jobs that are more than just a paycheck. They want a platform to make a real difference. That means wanting a clear sense of purpose, a mission they believe in, opportunities to get involved in sustainability or social causes.
And the work culture itself.
They appreciate dynamic cultures. Open communication, flatter hierarchies maybe, opportunities to wear different hats, try different roles. That gives them valuable exposure, accelerates their growth, kind of like you'd get in a nimble startup.
So they're bringing a startup mindset into these bigger companies.
I think that's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay, this desire for impact combined with their financial realism. It leads us to how companies can really attract and keep them, especially thinking about things like equity compensation. How do you talk about that with this generation?
Equity is a really powerful tool, especially for startups, right? They might not have huge cash flow right now, but they can offer potentially massive future upside.
And Gen Z is open to that.
Very much so. They're notably more open to different kinds of income, stock options, even crypto sometimes.
Yeah.
They value having a real stake in the company they're helping build, not just drawing a salary.
So how do you communicate that effectively?
Well, first, you got to meet them where they are. That means online platforms. Instagram, TikTok, Discord, Slack. These are crucial places for outreach, for engagement.
Not just LinkedIn anymore.
Definitely not just LinkedIn. But beyond the where, the what you say is critical. It has to be totally honest, transparent. About the opportunities, yes, but also about the risks.
No sugarcoating the startup gamble.
Absolutely not. Full disclosure is vital. That's how you build trust. And crucially, make them feel like part of the bigger picture, not just, a cog.
Oh.
Include them in company updates, celebrate successes together, genuinely listen to their input.
Make them feel like owners because potentially they are.
Exactly.
This whole discussion, all these preferences,
Yeah.
it brings us to this really interesting, maybe even contentious tension that's popping up. There's strong emphasis on work-life balance, self-care,
Yeah.
versus what some people call founder mode or, hustle culture.
Yes. That tension, it's really at the heart of a lot of the generational friction we're seeing, isn't it?
It seems like it.
And it raises this huge question. How do you square these things? Gen Z's tendency, maybe need, to take mental health days, demand flexible hours, prioritize their well-being outside of work. How do you square that with the intense, deep engagement of founder mode?
That sort of all-consuming dedication.
Right. The long hours, the singular focus you often associate with building a startup from scratch, the kind of thing exemplified by, Paul Graham, Steve Jobs. That model is still seen by many as crucial for rapid success, especially early on.
It really feels like a growing divide.
Yeah.
Sources point out that maybe later-stage companies, more established ones, they might have more wiggle room to accommodate Gen Z's preferences.
More structure, clearer boundaries, maybe.
Exactly. But those high-growth startups,
Hmm.
especially early stage, they often really lean into that founder mode intensity. The lines between work and life get very blurry.
Very blurry. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really suggests that future work environments, they're going to need to be much more fluid, more adaptable.
Not one size fits all.
Definitely not. This tension, this pull between intense work focus and personal well-being, it's likely going to drive a lot of innovation in how we actually do work. We might see new hybrid models emerge, trying to capture the best of both.
What would that look like?
Maybe the goal becomes achieving that intense focus, that innovation during the workday, but then having really clear, respected boundaries for dedicated personal time outside of work.
Easier said than done, maybe.
For sure. And leaders who just throw around founder mode language, using terms like LFG, that intense let's go drive.
Without the substance behind it.
Exactly. Without the genuine support, the flexibility, the understanding of well-being. That's just going to fall flat. It'll create friction, resentment, especially with this generation. You need the culture to back up the words.
So wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you listening, maybe for your organization? Gen Z, they're undeniably shaking things up.
No question about it.
Challenging the old norms. Pushing for work that prioritizes values, well-being, transparency, real impact. They're adaptable, super tech-savvy, incredibly ambitious. Whether that ambition takes them to a big, stable corporation or down the startup path, they aren't just fitting into the existing rules of work. They're actively rewriting them.
And I think that brings us to the critical consideration for leaders, for all of us, really. In this world of, constant information, rapid change, shifting values, how can we not just attract Gen Z, but truly thrive with the energy, the unique views, the insights they bring?
It's about building a future workplace.
Exactly. Building a future workplace that benefits everyone, no matter their age. It's less about just accommodating a demanding generation, and much more about seizing the opportunity they represent to build something fundamentally better, more human, maybe.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Gen Z and the workplace. We really hope this exploration gave you a clearer, maybe more nuanced understanding of this dynamic generation.
And maybe spark some new ideas for your own teams, your own organizations.
If you found this insightful, please do subscribe to Headline, leave us a review, it really helps, and let us know what topics you'd like us to deep dive into next.